Welcome to English Podcast with Nora. Here we learn simple English for real life. Slow, clear, and step by step. Are you ready? Let's learn together. Hi, everyone. It's been a while, right? I missed you, really. It feels so good to be back with you. Maybe you've been wondering, where is Nora? Why hasn't she posted anything? Well, I've been a little busy. I just moved to a new place. Yes, I packed everything, carried boxes, and started fresh. It was a big change. And today I want to tell you that story. So get ready. Let's enjoy the story together. And then we'll learn some English about moving house. Hi, it's me, Nora. And today I want to share something big with you. I just moved to a new apartment. Not for fun, not because I had to, but because I felt ready. You know, sometimes we stay in one place for too long, even when we feel stuck. That's how I felt. My old apartment, small, dark. The walls were thin, and the neighbors were so loud. I couldn't focus. I couldn't rest. And slowly, it started to feel less and less like home. So one night, I sat by the window, drank some tea, and asked myself, what do I really want? And the answer was clear. I needed a fresh start, a quiet space, a new chapter. That's when I opened my laptop and started looking. I didn't know where I would end up, but I knew I had to try. And after a few days of searching, I found it. The perfect little place, full of light and with big windows and peace. It felt like hope. Packing is strange. You think it's just putting things into boxes, but it's not. It's looking at your life, one object at a time. The books I love, the notebooks I forgot I had, sweaters I don't wear anymore but still keep for some reason. I started with the easy stuff: t-shirts, shoes, kitchen things. But then I found old letters, photos from university, a birthday card from my best friend with little hearts drawn inside. And suddenly, packing wasn't fast anymore. I sat on the floor. I held things. I remembered things. The room became messy, full of open boxes, tape, and half-folded memories. I played music while I worked. Nothing loud, just soft piano. It helped me feel okay. Sometimes I stopped just to breathe, to smile, or to feel a little sad. Because packing isn't only about leaving a place. It's about closing a chapter. And that takes time. The night before moving day, I didn't do anything big. No party, no goodbye dinner. Just me and the silence. I sat on the floor in the middle of my apartment. The shelves were empty. The curtains were down. My bed was just a mattress now. But I didn't feel empty. I felt full of memories. This was where I cried after my first real job interview, where I danced in pajamas at 2 a.m., where I called my mom when I felt homesick, and laughed alone while watching silly videos. I looked at the wall, the one that used to have photos and notes. Now, just little marks where tape used to be. I whispered, "Thank you." I didn't cry, but I felt it. That little pull in the heart. When you say goodbye to something that took care of you. This place wasn't perfect, but it was mine. And that night, for just a few more hours, it still was. Moving day finally came. And wow, I was not ready for how tiring it would be. I woke up early. Too early. It felt like my brain was already carrying boxes. Before my body even got out of bed, I made myself a quick breakfast, just toast and tea, and looked around one last time. Then, the real work began. I rented a small truck. Nothing fancy, just enough to fit my life inside. I carried boxes down the stairs, again and again. There was no elevator. 6 floors. 6. My arms were shaking. I was sweating like crazy, but I kept going. Books, suitcases, my plants, all 12 of them. And finally, the mattress. That one almost killed me. Halfway through, I sat on the floor and laughed. Who needs the gym? I said to myself. It was hard, but there was something freeing about it too. Like I was leaving the heavy behind, both in my hands and in my heart. By the last trip, the apartment was quiet, echoey. I stood in the doorway with the last box, took a deep breath, and whispered, "Goodbye." Then I locked the door and walked away. The truck was full. The door was shut. And just like that, it was time to go. I got into my little car, closed the door, and sat there for a moment. I looked at the building one last time. It looked tired. Or maybe I just saw it differently now. I turned the key. The engine started. And slowly, I pulled away. The streets felt familiar, but somehow different. I passed the small cafe where I wrote in my journal, the bench where I cried after a breakup, the tree that turned golden every autumn. I waved at them in my mind, not with sadness, but with quiet thanks. They were part of my story, but not the next chapter. Music played softly in the car. The sunlight came through the window. I felt nervous and also free. I didn't know exactly what was waiting for me, but I knew this. Sometimes you don't need all the answers. You just need the courage to move forward. And that's what I was doing, mile by mile, minute by minute, step by step. was driving into something new. When I arrived at the new apartment, I didn't rush inside. I just stood in front of the door, holding the key. It felt strange. This place was mine now, but it didn't feel like it yet. The hallway smelled like fresh paint and wood. Everything was new. Everything was quiet. I took a deep breath and opened the door. The first thing I noticed? Light. So much light. Sun pouring through big windows, landing on empty floors. There were no sounds, no voices, no memories, just walls and space and possibility. I walked in slowly, my shoes echoing on the floor. I put my first box down near the window. The one with my journal, my tea mug, and a small photo of me and my mom. I stood in the middle of the room and turned in a slow circle. This was it. A blank page. A new beginning. And though it didn't feel like home yet, something in me whispered, "It will." I didn't want to leave the boxes for tomorrow. I know myself. If I waited, they'd still be there next week. So I rolled up my sleeves and started with the most important thing, my bed. I found the box with my softest blanket, the rainbow one I've had since I was 16. I made the bed slowly, tucking in the corners just right. Next came my desk. My favorite candle, a little plant named Leo, and my notebook with the golden pen. I hung my fairy lights around the window. Instant magic. And then I made tea. Always tea. With the cup warm in my hands, I walked through the rooms, bare but no longer empty. Something was shifting. The space felt softer, friendlier. It still smelled a little like paint and cardboard, but also now, like me. That evening, I sat by the window, with my journal and the last bit of daylight. Cars passed, birds sang, and the silence didn't feel lonely anymore. It felt peaceful. That night was quiet, really quiet. No music from the upstairs neighbor, no street noise, no familiar hum from the fridge I used to hate. Just silence. And me. I lay in bed, the room still half full of boxes, and stared at the ceiling. It felt strange, a little cold, a little empty. I missed the creaky floor of my old apartment, the little light from the street lamp, even the cat that used to walk across my balcony at 2 a.m. Here. Everything was new. Everything was still. I turned on my fairy lights. Soft, warm, gentle. Then I picked up my notebook and wrote one line. It doesn't feel like home yet, but it doesn't feel wrong either. And somehow, that was enough for now. I turned off the light, closed my eyes, and listen to the quiet. Not afraid of it, not uncomfortable, just learning how to rest in it. The next morning, I woke up to sunlight, software golden, gentle on my face. For a second, I forgot where I was. Then I looked around and remembered. The fairy lights, the plant on the windowsill, the blanket still warm from sleep. This was my new room, my new space. And for the first time, it didn't feel so strange. I got out of bed, walked to the window, and looked outside. The world was waking up. Birds were singing. A dog barked in the distance. Someone was watering plants on a balcony across the street. I made myself tea. Of course. And sat down by the window. Notebook in hand, I wrote, "Today I begin again. Not perfectly, not without fear, but with an open heart." And as I sat there, watching the light fill the room, I smiled. Because sometimes a fresh start doesn't come with fireworks. Sometimes it comes quietly. With sunlight, tea, and a deep breath. And just like that, I was home. And that was my moving story. It's still fresh. And honestly, I'm still getting used to all the new things here. But I wanted to share it with you. Because maybe you felt this way too. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me keep going. As always, you can check the video description below for the free PDF file. It has this full story, plus useful vocabulary and sentence patterns to help you practice English. I hope it helps you. Just like this story helped me. See you next time. Bye for now.